And now, News 4's Weather Extra with Chief Meteorologist David Paul.
Welcome into Weather Extra on this Thursday evening. Meteorologist Ryan Duggar along my side. So let me ask you, as a redhead, how important is sunscreen?
It's so important. And I know I've been joking about, having a gallon of sunscreen on standby for a weekend like this, but honestly, it's needed. I try to apply at least every 40 minutes to an hour because the sun is brutal.
It is. This time of year, a very high sun angle, and that's the focus of tonight's breakdown by meteorologist Zach Webster.
The 4th of July is coming up on Friday, and that means a lot of people are probably going to be spending a lot of time outdoors. You want to make sure you pack that sunscreen with you, especially this time of year when that sun angle is a lot higher up into the sky. You're seeing a lot more of that direct sunlight, and it's going to mean a lot less time before sunburn starts to set in if you do not have any of that sunscreen on. Here's a list of approximate times that each skin tone would have to spend outside before sunburn starts to set in if you don't have sunscreen on. This is valid by around midday on Friday. For the lighter skin tones, it will not take very much time. Pale skin, it would take around 5 minutes for sunburn to start to set in. Fair skin, it would take closer to 8 minutes for sunburn to start to set in. For our darker skin tones, obviously that time is a little bit later on. 20 minutes for olive brown skin, 36 minutes for brown skin, and for black skin, it would take 72 minutes before sunburn starts to set in.
And it's so easy to be outside for 2 hours in a row and not even think about the sunscreen.
There's so much that can go on, exactly. Yeah. And I didn't notice a very pale box right there. For me,
that's where you are?
That's like within a minute. It'll start burning.
Yes. Yeah, I've seen it actually when we do Weather and Worlds walking downtown. It's like, wow, you're turning red. We're only down to,
I know. We've only walked down the street.
half the block. Yeah, that's right. The weather tomorrow will be pretty good overall, but again, rain chances are going to be with us, so not a perfect day. There will be some pop-up activity during the afternoon hours. High temperatures in the middle 90s overall, sun to partly cloudy skies and a stray shower or thunder shower out there. We could use some rainfall. Some areas have done pretty well this year, so a really neat map here as we look at the Choctawhatchee, Pea, and Yellow Rivers here, the Watershed Management Authority. This is a map of their rain gauges and how much rain has fallen so far this year. And, we've pointed out many times, it's like it's always raining in Covington County, up to Andalusia. It's always raining in Troy and Brundage. Well, you know what? We're right, because 38 inches, 31 inches. You look at Dothan on the west side, 23. There's a 21. There's 21 inches there. So some spots have seen a lot, some areas not so much.
Yeah, and most months that we've really ended, we've been well below average for that time of year. But again, that is just the Dothan Airport. For a lot of the pattern that we've seen, some systems come through really robust as they make their way into Covington County or through Pike, Barber. By the time they make their way into here, they're just losing steam.
Yeah, I mean, look at that. So there's the northern part of Coffee County, 31.97 inches. You get into Dale County around Ozark, 22. There's a 21 around Newton. So you're right. Yeah, a lot more rainfall areas west and northwest so far this year than areas central and east.
Just a huge bubble. You could just draw a circle right around there. If you live in these areas, you can count on maybe not seeing as much rain or so far this year.
And the soil moisture kind of bears that out as well. So how much moisture is in the top part of the soil? A lot as you go west of us and north of us. But, the central part of our area, kind of normal more or less. But you go farther eastward and that drought or the dryness continues over parts of Georgia and Florida.
Yeah, and it's really intense this time of year because once the sun comes back out, it can really evaporate that rainwater very quickly. It's not enough time for it to sink into the soil.
Yeah, that sun is brutal on the skin and brutal on taking moisture out of the ground as well. All right, speaking of moisture in the yard, we go in the yard up next.
And now, News 4's Weather Extra.
Welcome back to Weather Extra. I said last night my favorite part of doing in the yard is it forces me to stay up to date on my chores in the yard.
Yeah. I mean, what I've been impressed with is just you haven't found a shortage of things to do. There's always something to do, right?
Yeah, I could go in the yard every single day.
Yeah.
Keep busy pretty much year round. It was hot today out there in the yard. Have a look. Welcome to In the Yard this week. We have a nice hot July day. It will be dry for the next several days, so a good time to get outdoors and do some work like taking care of these Leland cypress trees I have in the yard that are pretty much dead. I'm pulling the plug on them. These are great trees if they do well, they do great. Otherwise, they just slowly die over time, very fickle. Mites can get to them, and aphids as well, especially if they're in soil that dries out a lot, and that pretty much sums up my yard. So time to get these out of the yard. Let's go. All right, there we go. Time to cut.
All right, there we go. Got 2 of the Leland cypress out of the landscape. These are fickle trees. Sometimes they do really well, sometimes they don't. This one is holding on. It might die down the road. We'll see. Again, if it gets too dry outside, the insects will get to these trees, and if they're planted in an area that's too wet, they don't like it either, and that can spell their demise. So hey, good luck if you're growing Leland cypress. I'll see you next time in the yard.
So I put those in 2015, and from the very beginning, some of them were happy and just took off, and the other ones just were struggling the entire time. So I personally will never plant a Leland cypress again. I will go with something that's a little more hardy, a little more acclimated to our climate.
I was about to say maybe a little bit more dependable, something you know is really going to take off.
Yes, do it once and you're done. You're not cutting them down with a chainsaw 10 years later.
I got you. A bit of trial and error.
That's right. Yeah, exactly. All right, let's talk about this this developing tropical system, because there's a pretty good chance it does become a tropical depression and a tropical storm. Considering Andrea was a named storm and Barry, there's a pretty good chance that this will be as well.
I was about to say, looking at the modeling that we've been tracking over the past week and even the week before, it's been looking pretty good, especially, again, when you're looking at Andrea and also Barry. They've kind of been following those marginal guidelines, and this seems to fit those.
Yeah, Andrea had a 1,014 millibar pressure when it was named, and this pressure should be down to about 1,005 millibars. So probably not a great-looking tropical system, but probably a pretty good center of circulation, decent convection on the north side as it comes ashore. The timing sometime late Saturday into early Sunday. This is the graph model showing the area between Savannah and Charleston being impacted with some rain. Then it moves inland and maybe back to the west and northwest. Shout out to the new Google DeepMind AI model. All these ensembles, these are ensemble low pressure centers for Sunday morning at 7, and it shows landfall somewhere along the coast of South Carolina. I bring up this model because, again, this is an AI model that uses the past to predict the future. Back on June 27th, I posted the Google DeepMind and then the European AI models, and both of them were ahead of all the other models, the deterministic and the ensemble, showing development somewhere in that part of the Atlantic, and it's going to verify.
I was about to say, yeah, they did a really good job, because most of those other models were trying to see between the west and east coast. This nailed it.
Nailed it. All right, hey, have a happy and safe 4th of July. I'll see you Monday, Ryan tomorrow. Good night.